and welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, where today's topic is about financial prepping in challenging times. And our host today is Rashan Hill, who is a financial consultant. And then, of course, I have Chris Dawkins on the seat with me. So, going back to what you were talking about a moment ago, that we're really going to have to push ourselves to become financially literate.
Yes, what I would recommend is understanding where are we now. Um, just to be quite frank, when it comes down to how we are as a nation, we are seeing debt rising, but we are also seeing that we have our grasp at technology at a higher sense. A lot of the youth, I can say my son's 9 years old. Some of the things that he's learning right now, I didn't learn at his age because of the technology and the things that we have at our fingertips. The biggest thing that I would recommend for anybody to do is to really analyze where you are. Sometimes we get outside of our means, and it happens, but understanding when to reset and not procrastinate on waiting to think that you're gonna be able to go through this portion or this portion of your life underneath stress. I've had clients that we have had 30-minute to an hour conversations. We looked over their budget, we looked over their finances, and they were in thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And they're like, hey, I can barely figure out a way to breathe. And then we'll look back over their budget and I'm saying, hey, no, we can do this methodology, or this methodology. And they've went from having negative $50 to now having $800 to $1,000 because they have cut off some of the fat. And what I mean by that is, hey, if you know that you're spending $2,000 roughly going out to eat, why not minimize that and go to somewhere like HEB and get meal preps and things like that and cook at home? You're saving yourself down to about $750. You have to see where your excess losses are. If you're a person that's going shopping consistently, but you know that you're robbing Peter to pay Paul, why not minimize those things? And sometimes it's harder because it's an addiction, but we have to identify the addiction. And once we identify the addiction, then we have to find out ways to stop it.
Okay. You had a question?
I want to switch and, with the short time that we have left, I want to talk about the future.
Okay.
And talk about where we are. Have you looked at the things that are going on, especially in our country now, the trends that may be coming, and how we're going to deal with those? One of the things is we know that the current administration has looked very seriously into the crypto situation right now. So, when you talk about savings and you talk about different things like that, folks are really scared to wonder, hey, if I've saved, am I going to lose all my saving? Or if I put it here, am I going to lose it or whatever? So there's a lot of stuff that's coming at us that's new, and we don't know what's lurking around the corner. So how do we deal with all of that?
So my first question is it new? Because it truly isn't. We have gone through different ways of handling these situations where multiple different generations have lost 401ks, they have lost investment, pensions, different things of that nature. It's not something that is new, but we also have to understand, what are we going to do? So we have to look at, hey, what is something that's valuable? Are we going to look into AI? Are we going to look into manufacturing? Are we going to start businesses and no longer be W-2 employees, be 1099, and start going ahead and doing what we need to do so we have our own infrastructure? If we look at it for just what everyone is looking at, the headlines, and not doing research individually to see what is the best interest for me as a consumer, as a product owner, then guess what? We're going to be a part of the whole entire regime that's always been going on. And what I mean by that is very simple. If you wait for someone else to do something for you, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen. But if you are being able to be a spearhead into your community, spearhead into your family, and say, the buck stops with me. I want to make sure that I'm going to do the best thing I can for my family. Even if you look at going into an annuity, into an investment account that's going to give you 6% on average, you're doing that, and let's say you left one generation $50,000, but you put it into a trust, and then that trust reinvested into a dividend stock. And once that happens, they get a dividend portion every month, every 3 months, or every year. Well, they may only get $400, $500. But as you teach them to say, hey, when you get your life insurance policy, feed it into the trust. After three generations, based off of what you have done, the education that you have brought, now you're having it to where your kids can now have a safe haven for them to build upon. And now guess what? With those trusts, you're minimizing what you're going to have to pay for capital gains taxes and things of that nature. But we have to be aware of where we're positioning ourselves, how we can minimize what we are expending out to other things that we are not truly needing. And then additionally, how can we set up ourselves and our kids' kids for the future? We have
What's your word on crypto?
So crypto, I say I've dived into it a little bit. You have to understand what you're going into. I will never tell anybody just to invest in something if they don't have well knowledge and well versed about it. The reason why is because if I tell you right now to invest in S&P 500, okay, S&P 500 is going down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that time for you to possibly try to go ahead and buy some of the stocks at a lower price?
Because it's on sale.
Correct. If you don't know what you're doing, you may lose your profit margin. It's all about understanding and doing research. And then additionally, go to a professional. You can do an hour consultation for free, see where you're at, and then say, hey, you know what? I've talked to 3 different other financial guidance. I want you to handle my finances because I've seen your portfolio, I've seen what you can offer, and it's different than what other people have.
I'm smiling because folks don't know when the stock normally goes down. It's the time to normally buy. And they say, it's going down. I don't want to buy it. But, it's on sale at that point. Buy it and wait for it to go back up.
It all depends on where you are financially.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is if you're a person that's only making $30, $40, $50, $60,000 and you only have an extra $500 left over, you have to figure out what you can dip into.
Where do you put that extra 500?
So for me, the first thing I'm going to do is make sure I have an emergency savings fund. If I don't have an emergency savings fund, then what am I doing for myself when times do get even harder? I'm not setting myself up for failure. So I want to make sure that I'm saving for myself. Whenever I get paid, I pay myself first. So that means I'm putting money into an emergency savings fund. Once that's funded, then I'm putting money into a savings fund. And then I'm looking at, okay, with the savings that I've gotten this quarter, this year, where can I diversify my assets to go ahead and give me a capital return? What's going to have the highest yield? That's going to have the highest risk. What's going to have the lowest yield? That's going to have the lowest risk. I need to be able to say, from where I am financially, what am I okay with going ahead and risking? Because when you're investing, you are taking a risk. And that's some things that people think that does not happen, but it does. You will take a risk.
Before I turn it back over to Sharon, I got one more question for you.
Yes.
How do folks get in contact with you?
You can reach me. I have email address, and then also I'm on social media. So I'm
on LinkedIn.
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn underneath Rashan Hill, and I'm free to be able to talk. I help out a lot of personnel when it comes down to community, and just trying to help and make sure that we do better within this community to uplift it and enrich it.
Okay. Rashan, sounds like we got to bring you back because this is such a huge, huge, huge topic, and there's all kind of elements that this will be a meaty discussion.
Yes, yes.
Let me ask you one more thing before we sign off. You got
Yes.
you got any children's books you're going to write?
Something that me and my fiance are thinking about.
Okay.
I am working with Val Jackson. She's doing some books right now, and we're trying to think about some things that we can possibly do in the future.
Okay. Well, with that being said, we want to thank you for listening in on Contemporary Black Voices. We get together once a week. And as we like to say from our founder, Fred Williams, this is Contemporary Black Voices, where we tell our story our way.